Yes, so whenever you're ready, are we recording?
We are recording now. Okay, go ahead. All right, good afternoon, everybody. So glad everyone could join us for our discussion today. We've got a very exciting conversation lined up for you, and we so hope that you will enjoy today's discussion. Before we get into today's topic, I would like to just take a few minutes to go over a few housekeeping notes. First off, quick introductions. My name is Rishu Mahalha. I'm an economic advisor working on growth in the rural Ozarks program in a variety of our southern Missouri communities. So thank you for joining us. We have these discussions once a month. And if you ever want to go and take a look at some of the topics that you may have missed, I want to introduce you to a tool really quick. So our tool is not that. So our tool is called business911.org. It's a great platform to help you connect to resources and programs that may be available in your backyard. So if you click on Grow Missouri, it brings you to a variety of programs that are available in your region. If you want to connect with local interns, find local jobs, post local jobs, this is a completely free resource. Underneath this, there's one section called Educational Series. So if you click on there, you will be able to take a look at our events from the past. Each of our events is recorded. And so that's a place where you can go and take a look at previous conversation. And all of these topics were selected because of the feedback we received from local business owners in our Grow communities who highlighted these as topics of concern. So anyways, please keep that in mind. The other item we wanted to make you aware of is there's a platform called createhere.biz that's been launched. It's an opportunity if any of you are existing business owners, are entrepreneurs looking to expand businesses and are looking to find ways to expand your footprint. This is a platform that outlines a variety of basically assets and programs that our communities are offering to invite you to our community. So in this case, you can see Aurora's homepage. You can get a sense for what the community is all about. And then it identifies a variety of incentives that Aurora is offering. Our businesses, it also says what types of businesses we're interested in and highlights specific properties that you can build your home in. And we have similar pages for Buffalo, for Marshfield, and Sarcoxy. So again, please do take a look at that platform. It's called createhere.biz. One other housekeeping note, hopefully all of you have an assessment form in front of you for today's topic. We'd like to understand, we'd like to see how well we are doing in terms of our topics. We look for feedback from you on what we can do to improve the quality of our discussions. So please do take a moment to give us your feedback at the end of the session. Let us know what you thought of today's session and what we can do to improve future sessions. And the final housekeeping note is we will be setting this up in a way where Neal and I will be sort of going through a Q&A form today. And so if you have any questions, please do jot them down. We will be from time to time taking a pause to invite you to the discussion. And hopefully if you have any questions, this would be a great way to have Neal sort of answer any thoughts that you have. So with that, we will jump right in. Our guest speaker today is Neal Kumar. I've gotten to know Neal briefly in the last few months, and to briefly introduce him, Neal's an immigrant to America. He came to the U.S. about 20 years ago. He's a technology, a software guy. He worked in the consulting arena, and like many of us, he was sort of looking for alternative opportunities for work, live, play. And so he through research and some hard work, identified a interesting arena to focus in on. This whole, the world of Amazon is blowing up. So he wanted to know, how could he build a business that could help create a business on that Amazon platform. He's got some amazing insights. So I'm really excited for having Neal here, for him to share with you some of his learnings. Our hope is that in today's discussion, you sort of get a flavor for what does it take to get a business started on Amazon. And again, Neal's done it all. He's launched a business. He has custom manufacturing going on in China. He coordinates shipping of products from China to the U.S. And basically coordinates that entire process. And it's a fascinating story. And Neal's a really interesting guy. He's got 2 kids and a wife. They live in Cleveland, and he loves the outdoors, hikes, and all that good stuff. And this business really, it's fascinating because more and more we're seeing individuals seek opportunities, business opportunities, where they can keep their day job and they can also sort of pursue these businesses on the side to supplement their income, which eventually becomes a full-time job. So without further ado, Neal, welcome. So glad you could join us. Why don't, and so again, for those of you who participated in these discussions in the past, we've typically had the speaker speak for 45 minutes. Today, it's really going to be more of a Q&A session. So let's sort of jump right into it. Neal, let me ask you the first big question. Who is Neal Kumar? How did you get into this world of Amazon businesses? Can we start there?
Thank you, Rich. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you guys. Very exciting, honored to speak to you. And my hope is that after this, you will come out of it thinking, it was time worth spending. So that's my expectations. I got into it. I was like a regular person trying to do a 9-to-5 job, did the technology, the engineering and IT. And, that sounds like, where if in India, that's where kind of traditional route, if you can make it into engineering, then IT, the software, and the dream job, consulting. So I did all of that, but throughout, and it's kind of fulfilling. It's pretty exciting. You get to see new technologies, new platform, but throughout this, there's the one thing I was missing was fulfillment. So it's something that and it's different for different people. Some people like to work in a structure and where they are given things and then they do a job and go forward, and some people like to make their own thing. So I've always had the tendency of, I didn't like the structured time where you go at 9, come back at 5 or something like that, and take a lunch break at this time. It's always more like a prison to me. So I was always looking for ideas to break out of this, and I tried a couple of times where I started my own software development company that was kind of good, and I also started my medical transcription companies over the time, and that was pretty good. So those gave me the platform or opportunity to understand the market, what happens. So I have been dabbling into different things and trying to learn about all of that on my own. And then I was given this opportunity because something happens in my life. I was kind of stuck. It's you can call it middle-age crisis or whatever. But then I was laid off last year from my job, and on the surface, it seems like it was the worst thing that can happen to someone. But it was an opportunity that was given to me because that gave me the time. And of course, I was on unemployment because once you're laid off, you get some unemployment. So I took the time and tried to reevaluate what I really want to do, what's good for me, and where I want to go with this in my life. And I said, now I could have found another job, and go to the same grind again. But I said, this is not the time, and I don't want to go and do that again. So I wanted to something do something which is more fulfilling to me, more exciting, where I feel like I'm more alive.
Yeah.
And luckily, this fell into my lap. I just found it. I started learning more about it, and then I launched a product. Following I took a course and follow their guidelines, and launched a product to see if it is not a scam. Because over the years, I had been in several scams too, where many times they're not scams. Sometimes you are not a fit for them. So I wanted to see if I'm the right fit for it. So I started small
Sure.
and I
So
launched
Neal,
a product.
so let me, sorry, let me jump in. So give us a quick overview of what is your business right now. Well, what is it that you, and I know we don't want to get into specifics because of some competitive elements here. Give us a basic sense of what is the product.
Of course. See, so I'm selling on Amazon, and it's not just Amazon is just a sales channel. It's a step and a step before other steps happen, and it's an online channel. So what you do is you find a product, and we will go through all the steps. How to find a product, what is a good product. You find a product, you create a brand around it, and then you try to source this product locally. You may have a product in mind. You may be already manufacturing your own product, craft or whatever, but then you have a way to source this product, and then you sell it on Amazon. And Amazon, many people use it. Amazon, I guess a large part of the country uses it in some way or another. But a lot of people don't know that most of the products that sell on Amazon are not by Amazon. It's by, just like when we go to Walmart, there are so many brands. Same way, Amazon, when you go to Amazon, Amazon is not selling those products. Amazon is the platform or a channel through which other sellers come in and then say, hey, you want to buy my product? This is the price. These are the features. And then customers comes in, they browse, and they buy the product. And the beauty of this model is, compared to anything else on online, is first of all, people come looking to Amazon to buy stuff. So it's been a growing trend and especially since a lot of retail stores have closed, and it's convenient. You can get, let's say we were going on vacation during summertime, during winter time, but we were going in a place which was really warm, so we couldn't find any kind of summer clothes. But we went to Amazon and we were able to find all the winter summer clothes that usually are very seasonal, that kind of stuff, because the shelf space is unlimited. So the beauty with Amazon is that you don't have to touch your products in terms of whether you have 10 orders or 1,000 orders. You send the entire shipment to Amazon, and for a fee, they will fulfill it for you. And the advantage is that you have the ability to scale your business significantly faster, because Amazon has all the fulfillment figured out. They will ship it to your customers. They will pack it, and they do a fantastic job of shipping. Their fulfillment rates are pretty decent for 2-day fulfillment. So you don't. So essentially, it comes to all about ideas, connecting with people, figuring things out, and then once you have one thing going, then it's a matter of scaling. It's the same amount of effort, almost the same amount of effort in doing 10 products versus one product.
Okay. So again, without going into specifics of your product, it's sort of a household products is what you're selling. Office, household.
Yeah. So I've started working with, after analyzing all these different categories. That was the one that I felt most comfortable with. I had ideas about battery powered, electronic, other kitchen, household stuff, but they had glass in it. So because I knew that some of it is going to be shipped from overseas, so I wanted it to be less fragile, smaller in size, easier to manufacture. So those are some of the attributes that kind of drove me, and my particular interest. I understood the product. There were other tools and all of that stuff which I did not understand as much. So this part I understood. So I went into Office. So if you go to Office Depot or Office Max, you see a bunch of products. So I started with some of those which I could private label, and then started putting them into my store in Amazon, and started with that.
Okay, so So as you're starting, you want to start this business on Amazon. You're trying to figure out what's going to be the right product niche for you. And so let's kind of go step by step. Where did you even begin? If you want to set up an store on Amazon, what's the first thing one should be thinking about?
I mean, first thing, even before, if you take a step back, the first thing we should be thinking about whether Amazon is the right opportunity for you or not. And even within Amazon, there are many things that you can do. So I'm doing something called Amazon private label through FBA, which is fulfillment by Amazon. So where I find products, I don't have my own factory. I find suppliers, then I work with them, I design them, and then I have my brand. I put my logos on them, and then it becomes my product, manufactured by me, sourced from somewhere. So that's the private label model. Then there are what is called retail arbitrage model, where you see a product on Walmart, you see a product in your dollar store, and then you just procure the product, see if it is not on Amazon. A lot of people start that way. Many people start that way because it's a less risk, less capital, and
Sure.
it gets your feet wet. But I wanted to do it this way because it's kind of like I just jumped in. I said, okay, jumped in.
Okay, so if you're starting, you can, I don't know, I like red pens. I find
Hmm.
that Amazon doesn't have quite the red pen that I like. So I walk into a Walmart, I buy a case of red pens, and I create an account on Amazon, and I basically, as the order comes, I pack it at my house in my garage, and I ship it off, and I make a little bit of money between what I bought it for it in Walmart and what I'm selling it on Amazon. So
True,
that's
true.
sort of the retail arbitrage model. The other model you're saying, the other end of the spectrum is where you go in and you see that there's something completely missing, no one's selling it, and I have a new idea. So in that case, you're finding someone who can manufacture it for you, and then using Amazon to stock it, shelve it, fulfill it, and you're just making sure that the right product is available in Amazon at the right time.
Yes, very much like that. This is what I did, like to differentiate my products. I created something which was not even there, but many people who do private label, they sell the same red pen,
Yeah.
but they say, okay, I mean, because if you go to Amazon and if you want to buy a red pen, you'll see like 2 pages full of red pens. So many people are doing that way too, where they're not um, trying to make significant changes or trying to find a gap. What they're doing is then they're doing it on the marketing front, where they say, okay, I have the same product as everyone else, but I'm going to package it a little bit differently, or instead of red pen, I'll just have a blue cap on it, or some other minor changes. Or I have a customer list because I already sell a notebook. So I say, oh, hey, notebook guys, if you buy this pen, then I'll give you a 10% discount. So then I don't have to do, because it's not my prime product. So same thing, you get another twist on it.
Okay, got it. So you figure out what product you want to sell. You figure out how much. So kind of tell us your story. So as you started, it sounds like you jumped right in the deep end. And based on our conversations earlier, it sounds like you went through a few different products before you landed on what you sell now. So can you give us sort of a specific example of what your initial product was and how did you get started?
Sure. So how did I get started was, once I find out about this, I took a training. So they walked me through all the different steps in terms of, these are the different steps. This is what you
Who's
need to
they?
do. I took a training called ASM,
Mhm.
Amazing Selling Machine. It's a very expensive training. I would not recommend it at this time because later on I found out that there are so many inexpensive YouTube training that you can do, and you are able to find about the same type of information on YouTube and stuff. But anyhow, I did it, and I followed their steps in terms of analyzing the product. So I analyzed all kinds of different products in kitchen. One is not just sells product, also a great customer research tool.
I'm sorry. Were other people
Research
having
this
some?
available in the market, at what
One
price
second.
they're selling.
I'm sorry. Were other folks having issues with the connection there? Or was that just me? Kelly, can you hear okay? You guys are fine? Okay, good. Sorry. Keep going, Neil. It was just me. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. So I was talking about it's being a great marketing research tool as well, because you're not just able to find out how many types of red pens are available, but who's buying them and what price they're selling, uh, and what customers are saying about it. I mean, that's the most interesting part, because you go and read the reviews, and through the reviews you will find out customers are saying, hey, I like the pen, but I wish it was less expensive, or I wish it came in blue, or I wish it came with an eraser, for an example, or I wish it has magnetic feature to it so I can put it to my fridge, or I wish it had longer lifespan, or whatever they're saying. You just note it down and figure. So those are the things that people are looking for.
Got it.
And so that's kind of creates presents you the gap in the market, so that becomes your potential product, which will be a twist on the existing product.
Okay, sounds good. So that's interesting. So you do all the research, you figure out that people really want a red pen with a blue cap and an eraser on it. And so how does one start the China story? How do you identify who's going to make this for you, the shipping, the buying? That seems very complicated. Can you kind of shed some light on?
Yeah, it does seem complicated, but it's not really that complicated.
Okay.
Once you figure it out, I guess it's not that complicated. I can assure you of that. Um, they're just like Amazon. There are other consolidator in China, because China is a very sophisticated market, and it's not just China, it's also other countries, and even Google is a great resource to find your product. So if you do Google, let's say if you want to find manufacturers in the USA and find out who else makes these pens, so there are companies which are doing what you call white label or private label. So in Google, you type in white label colon my pen, my red pen, and then there will be several manufacturers which will show up. Thomas Net is another consolidator which has a lot of suppliers on it in US. Same way, if you want, so I did go through US manufacturers too, by the way, because I wanted to source it from US as well. But I have to tell you, the quality and so price was a little bit higher than China, but the quality was much better from China, and they could not make it here. So that's why I chose China. And then in China, there is a site called Alibaba. You guys might have heard of it. It's a pretty big company in China. It's almost to the level of Amazon now in terms of volume and what they can do. So they are on the supplier side, and there are other Taobao and 163. There are many others, but Alibaba is number one site where people go. So just like in US, there is Amazon, eBay, other sites where you can go. Jets now is coming up from Walmart. Same way on China side or supplier side, there are sites. So you go to Alibaba, you put in your requirements, and then there will be a bunch of suppliers which will come in. Just like products come in, suppliers come in, and then Alibaba becomes the platform through which you negotiate. So the chances of cheating, chances of malpractice, or your money getting disappeared or getting received poor quality significantly gets minimized. But then there is also a process of talking to the suppliers, getting samples for your products, talking to them, giving them your idea. Hey, I want this blue pen with the blue cap. Do you have it, or do you have, what kind of pens do you have? Can you send me the samples? So I got a lot of samples from a lot of suppliers, and evaluated them, and then negotiated the prices and everything. But Alibaba platform makes it easier, because then you're dealing. They've already verified these suppliers, So you know that, and then they go through something called trade assurance order. So the order is fulfilled through Alibaba's site. So any steps that you take, you pay to Alibaba, Alibaba transfer them, and they fulfill your goods. So it works as an intermediary. So that minimizes your risk. And then there is a whole significant infrastructure. Once you start looking for it, there are people who will do third-party testing. So there are independent companies who will do quality testing for you. You send them your requirements. So this is my product. This is how it will be packaged. This is how it needs to look like, and test it for me. So they will do random sampling and testing. So that's the testing part. Then I found freight forwarders. It's the same way, the people who will ship my product. So it's also kind of easy to find them. Uh, Essentially, finding someone is not that hard. It's just, what is the right fit, whether you like that person or not like that, or whether they are going to be right fit, the price is right. So that's where most of it's just like, finding an employee or finding an employer. So you have to go through that whole process. So it's a whole negotiation process.
Got it. So you knew your product, you started doing research online, you found potential manufacturer through Alibaba, and sounds like some of these other platforms, you found potential vendors, got lots of samples, and then sounds like you kind of put in place a whole series of suppliers and vendors who could manufacture, bring it together, do a quality testing, ship it, and the product's getting shipped directly to Amazon fulfillment?
Yeah. So then you create your listing on Amazon. Say you create an account on Amazon first. And once you create and it's not very complicated to create your own account. In US, it's even easier if you create it either with your LLC or Inc.
Sure.
Or I guess you can, I already had an Inc. because I'd done several businesses before. But you can also file in as you being as business.
Sure.
So you go to them and you do all the paperwork, which is very easy. It's like user friendly. Create an account and then say, I want to sell this product. And there is a process to kind of create their listing.
Yeah.
The same listing that you see on Amazon. Put your images in there, put your description in there, price and everything in there, and then say, now I want to send it to you. Tell me which warehouse I should send it. So they will give you entire details. This is the product code. This is these are the product labels. These are the carton labels. This is the warehouse we want to send it to. And then you give this information to a freight forwarder, which will work with your supplier to directly take everything from a supplier after it has been inspected, and then ship it to Amazon warehouse.
So you personally never see your product. You never touch it.
I never touch it. I touch it as a samples, and I always order one of my own product through Amazon after it comes in. So I get to know this set qualities.
Yeah,
is good. Yeah.
Okay. Let me pause there and just see if anyone has any burning questions in Aurora or Buffalo. Any thoughts so far? There's a question in Buffalo in the back. Go ahead.
Yes, what's the cost of fulfillment?
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
What's the cost of fulfillment if you're sending products to Amazon warehouse to fulfillment? What is the cost to?
That's a very good question. I understand your question. That's a very good question. Amazon has three costs essentially, but two major costs. One is since it's their customers, so they have a referral cost. So if you list on their site and someone comes and buys your product, let's say your product was $10. So it's slab-wise system, but more or less 15% of your product price goes to them as referral cost. So $1.5 Amazon will take as the referral cost. That's number one. Number two is their fulfillment cost. So that's a choice whether you're fulfilling yourself or you're fulfilling through them. And that is based on the tiers of the size and weight. So let's say if your product is small, let's say if it is the pen, and there are 4 pens in your package, so it's not going to be very heavy and very big product. So there are it will come as small fulfillment, and I guess at this time the small fulfillment fees is $2.5 or something for Prime. So for that, your product will always already be in some kind of plastic uh, package or something, but they will put it in a cardboard box. They will apply the customer label, and then they will send it to them within 2 days. So they charge $2.50 for that, for something like pen. I have some larger products as well. Um, so my fulfillment fees has gone up to $12, $10. But then if I have were to fulfill it myself, I think I'll spend about the same amount of money, because they are pretty big, like more than 20-inch on one side, 3 pound or more, or something like that. So it depends. Of course, it depends on the size of the product, but it's pretty reasonable.
And then what's the third? So you said referral, fulfillment. What's the third?
Oh, the third is the stocking fee. So it's free to stock at Amazon, but they don't want you to be like just stock it up and not sell anything, because that's not how they make money. They make money by selling your product, not just filling their warehouse. So if you have too much stock in their warehouse and it's not selling, so they charge you a small fee. I haven't even noticed that. I mean, it's probably very little. So it it's just $30, $40 for thousands of dollars of product if you have stored so per month. So it's very little. I guess that during Christmas time, when people have stocked up their warehouses, it's significant. But so far, I haven't been affected too much by this, because I've been like rotating my inventory.
Okay, great question. Other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
What do you mean by referral? Amazon referral? What do you mean? Could you explain that?
Of course, referral is it's a convention where it's like if you are an agent. Let's say you go to buy a house, and an agent gets you the house, so it gets 6% for the house, right? I mean, that's the convention. Same way, it's Amazon brings you the customer. You've really not done anything to acquire that customers yourself. It's Amazon's customer, because they came to Amazon looking for a product and they found your product. So if they buy your product, Amazon will deduct 1.5, 15%, and that's it for. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think that's it for us right now.
Thanks, Tanya. Aurora, any questions in Aurora? I think you're on mute. Shannon, could you unmute you guys?
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was curious how taxes work as far as foreign taxes, federal taxes, state taxes, based on where you're selling and where you're buying.
Taxes, most of the taxes that you mentioned work the same way. Like when there are taxes and then there are duties. So when you are going through the import process, then there are custom duties, then there are other duties that you will be paying. Then when it comes to Amazon, then Amazon collects the taxes depending on what state you are buying in from and what state the warehouse is from. That's another tax. And then once it is your income, then you will be paying taxes like any business would. So it works the same way. Yes, please. Is there any other question?
Yeah, I think Kelly has a question. Shannon, go ahead, Kelly.
The question is, how do you manage your supply chain so that you have the right amount of product in inventory and avoid running out of product or having too much product? How do you
It's a very good
deal with that?
It's a very good question, and it has been a challenge for me. The challenge is only because it's very hard to predict how much you're going to sell. You know exactly how long your supplier takes to manufacture a product. You also know exactly how long takes to ship by air or ship by sea, and then how long it will take to get to Amazon and processing. So So you know all of that number, which is very static, and you can predict it, but you can it's very hard to predict how many you're going to sell. So how soon you're going to run out of inventory. So some of my products, which moved faster than I was anticipating, I ran out of inventory because by the time I placed the order, by the time they came in and custom and all of that stuff, I was out of, like, the one recent example, I just came back in inventory after 10 days of gap. Uh, so so that's always been an issue. That's a good something that you have to be on top of. So good prediction. I guess once I have more data in terms of how much I'm selling, and because I'm in a launching phase, when you're launching new product, you have a less idea about how much you're going to sell. But once you're more established, you can predict. Let's say some Mother's Day, Father's Day, the sales go up, and then suddenly they go down. Christmas, the sales go up. So once I have gone through a couple of cycles, I will have better idea in terms of what is my demand. But right now, that's one of the challenge that I have to kind of guesswork. I try to have more inventory, but then to get more inventory, I don't want to be obsolete, because a lot of times I want to see what customers' reaction is, and don't take too much risk, because I can order a lot of inventory. First of all, it costs capital, and second, then I'm taking risk with that much capital. So I want to, like, take risk with less capital, and once I know, okay, this is a winning product, then I can order more. So it's a challenge, but you have to be on top of it.
Sure. Any other questions in Aurora? Okay, so let's keep going. This is going to be a bad question, but I'm just curious, from just a monetary perspective. Was there another question, Shannon? No. Okay. Like, how much money should you? Obviously, it's very. So let's take the cost of the pen out, whatever the cost of the product is. How much money do you need to have in your bank account when you launch a business like this to take into account all of? I don't know. Could you potentially start with $5,000 as your total capital, or do you need to have $10,000, $20,000, $50,000? Any guidance on that question?
Yeah. I mean, well, that's why I gave, like, different models. So if you're doing retail arbitrage, of course, the capital requirement is barely anything, because you just don't even buy the product. You list it on Amazon. When you have an order, you buy it from Walmart and ship it, and in the same package, just change the label and ship it to the customer. So that's just, whatever money on top of, that's your profit directly in your pocket. So a lot of people start that way. But if you're doing the private label model, where you have to first invest in your inventory, then the product research comes into play, because you want to invest in products which will sell more and which will have more profitability. So obviously, you don't want to go into high competition markets where there's already high competition. So you want to do more product which have more demand. So general rule of thumb is, and this is a question which is most asked, on the forums and stuff, which I visit, and I know it from my own experience too. If you have, let's say a pen, if it sells for, let's say $9.99, it won't sell for $9.99 one pen, but let's say you sell a set of pen for $9.99 on Amazon. Amazon will take about $4. So about 1/3 of it goes to Amazon. 1/3 will approximately go to the product cost, the shipping, the inspection, and all of that stuff. So you can expect about 30% profit margin. But then if you are starting your business, then you have other costs like advertising and getting the audience and all of that stuff. So so it can go down to 20%, 15%, but 30% is the standard. So I have a product, for example, I'll give you a couple of examples. Like, I have a product which I sell for $19. I procure it for, including the shipping and inspection, for $4.5. Amazon charges about $6. I do ad for about, so I have a profit of $7 to $8 on that product. I have another product which has a cost of $23. Right now it's some coupons of on $20, and then it cost me about $5-6 to put it in inventory. Amazon charges $4, so about again $10. So I have about $8 to $9. That is my profit. On other products, I have less profit too. So like it depends on how the competition is, because you are changing your price all the time.
Sure.
So it depends. But I'm giving you a general example.
Yeah.
It can be, I know this question came up before. It can be a full-time income. I mean, there is this eBay model where people make side income. This can also be side. A lot of people do it as a side job where they just launch a product because it's less maintenance. Once you establish a product, then all you're doing is ordering inventory and taking care of your any kind of customer returns. Amazon takes care of it, but answering your questions or whatever, which is very little.
Sure.
But once they keep going, then it can become a total full-time income or more.
Got it. Great. So based on everything you're saying, it sounds like someone who's interested in this business, it's about research, being able to kind of look and hunt and peck and see, okay, what's on Amazon already, what's missing, if there's two products and there's something missing in between, try to figure out what you can do to innovate. So in a way, it could be a very sort of innovative space to create new ideas and new products. It could also be your fundamental research, just seeing what's missing and then bringing some of those ideas on Amazon, which, it's not a lot of cost, but a good way to start. As you think about your own experiences, Neal, what are some lessons learned that now that you've accumulated all your experience, you would do differently that you didn't fully realize when you were starting the business?
My number one lesson that I learned was listen to the customers more rather than thinking I know what is best for them. Because I did launch, I did launch 3 products, and not going into the commodity space, because when I launched 2 products at the same time. One was more custom, like I said, where I listened to the customer's feedback and I tried to improve the product, and then that seems like it's going well. Then the other product was totally commodity, where it looks exactly the same as everybody else. I just have a different box, and I said that was very little work and it was less maintenance, so everything was good. So I said, okay, let's try this, because I don't know the space. And so that has always been a challenge for me. I recently kind of ran out of inventory. I didn't lose money on it because still I had a lot of margin, so I was able to reduce the price, let it go out of inventory. But that product where the pricing was the only way you could differentiate.
Yeah.
So that way, you need a lot of capital then, because then you can buy large volume, so your price come down and then you have margins. Otherwise, pricing is the only way you can compete. So my personal preference has been to create differentiation.
Yeah.
Through changing the product in a way, or tuning in a way which creates value to the customers, because they're already looking for it.
Sure.
And then I tried to do it on the opposite end too, where I tuned it so much that it became a completely different product, and then the customers didn't know what to do with it, and then it just failed. So I have had that.
So I'm sure you have ideas all the time, but can you share with us 1 or 2 non-intellectual property ideas that you've been thinking about, but you're probably not going to pursue, just so we know what kind of ideas are out there that are sort of potential for some of the folks that are listening to the conversation today?
Yeah, I'll give you a failed product idea that failed for me. I would say failed for me because it didn't do what I was expecting it to do. So it was, like the dry erase boards. Everybody has dry erase boards, and they're doing really well. And I saw on Amazon, all the dry erase boards had, where you hang them and all of that stuff. So you hang them or put them on a structure and you write on them. So, and then there were some where which are just rolled, which you can roll, and you just unfold them and put pins on them on the wall, and then you write on them. And so I wanted to do something which you can roll and put some pins on them and start writing on them, because they're so easy to handle and they don't break during shipments. And because a lot of complaints during the dry erase board I started reading was that it came bent and it had missing screws, or I couldn't hang it, or it's looking crooked. So I said, it's no point going into that space. I wanted to do something which is more mobile. And so I said, okay, I want to go into this like foldable, the one which is essentially paper with the lamination and other coatings. But then I didn't like the idea that it goes on a wall with not a screw but a push pin. So I talked to my suppliers, and we worked very hard on it, and we created something which sticks on the wall. And I think the problem with it is somehow it never worked, because people are looking for what they're looking for.
Sure.
So somehow they are looking for, when they are looking for, I don't know the people in this room, but like this is what I found. It'll be interesting to kind of check with the people too. But I found that if they come looking, if you have a certain idea in mind when you're looking for a product, then you want to buy the product, unless like something else like totally wowed you over. And I guess this product wasn't like good enough to wow them over, so it didn't do very well.
Got it. So let me ask you a follow-up question to that. You mentioned marketing, and tell us a little bit about how you market yourself on Amazon. I'm thinking about my own Amazon experience. I know there's like Amazon Choice, or there's a couple of things that pop up on top, and I imagine that's where a vendor is paying to advertise their product, so it shows up on top of the list. But what do you do on Amazon? How do you market yourself on Amazon to drive up your visibility and get more customers to see your product? What does that look like?
That's a very good question. Amazon, essentially, when you look at it from a customer's point of view, is a place where it's a store, online store, but from a seller's point of view, it's a search engine where people type in specific keywords, and then for those keywords, some products come in. And then you change a keyword just a little bit, then totally different products will come in. So the way you do marketing or selling on Amazon is you optimize on those keywords in your listing, in your ranking, just like Google. Let people know, when you search on Google, a lot of pages come up organically. Same way on Amazon, if you are optimized correctly, and then your product will show up organically on the first page, and then you make sales. But you also have something called Amazon PPC, pay-per-click, which are sponsored ads. So if you see there are 3 rows of sponsored products, so next time when you go buy on Amazon, you look at it. There it says sponsored products. So first 2 or 3 products are not really organically there. They are placed by Amazon because someone paid them to put it there. And then you will see it says sponsored. So those are not organically up there. Then you go in the middle of the page, there are 3 more sponsored, and then at the bottom there are more sponsored. So that is that's how you kind of that's how you spend money to get on top, and then see if you're making sales or not. But the long-term solution is to make sales organically.
Sure. Excellent. All right, I'm going to open it up to the folks one more time, and as we've got 10 more minutes, so we'll start wrapping our conversation up. Neal, before we go to our teams, what else? As someone is looking to get started in the space, and we were very excited to have you speak to us because we're talking about smaller communities that are a bit more rural, and as I heard about what you do, it just seems like such a great model of ways for our citizens in this case Aurora and Buffalo, Sarcoxie, Salem, Marshfield, for folks looking for supplemental income to be able to build a business. And you could be, it's sort of a fascinating thing, which is you're sitting in Buffalo, Missouri, you're buying stuff from Shanghai, someone's shipping it, and it's, the products are being sold all across US and beyond. And we live in a world in a with technology and capabilities that all that's possible for absolutely fraction of the cost of what one would have to pay for that, even 10 years ago. So I think it's a fascinating model, and especially now that you've highlighted the innovation piece, which is, as any of you listening to the conversation today, as you look in the marketplace and you we all use products and services, shoes, hair clips, whatever it is, and we always think that there's something, if this only had one more feature, wouldn't that be so much neater? And I've never thought of Amazon as a place of innovation, but what I'm hearing from you, I mean, it truly is an incredible model where you can innovate, make micro innovations to products and offer them to buyers and get almost instant feedback whether there's some value in that sort of niche. So thank you for this feedback. Well, anything else you would add, Neal, about what people should be thinking about as they're maybe thinking of launching a business in this realm?
Yeah, no, that's some great advice that you gave. And that's why I was very excited to talk to these people, because I want to get the word out and let people know that it's the location or geography doesn't bind you. Because a lot of times, I mean, this has happened to me when I was doing consulting, and I thought I had to, it's like, because you can only go in this area, it's like there are only opportunities around your home because you have a home and family and all of that stuff. Then sometimes you feel like you're bound to the geography. But the online economy has opened up, and Amazon is just one example. But hopefully this will provide opportunity for people to open their mind and see other things, not just Amazon, that they can do, where this kind of work is possible, where all they need is ideas and a little bit of capital, and not even capital in many cases, but the ideas is the king in this kind of economy, where if they can add value to the marketplace will reward them. And like you said, it will provide them instant feedback, so which is very gratifying and shattering in many cases. But that's the fun of playing. It's an adventure. And if you like this kind of stuff, is great. And that's the main message I wanted to, if someone can take one message from this, is that the opportunities are unlimited. It's the global economy, the way we are interconnected, the possibilities of connecting and finding those things. The friction is very little now in the whole system. It's frictionless system. The only limitation is our ideas and what we can do with it.
Very cool. Those are powerful words. Okay, so let's go to Aurora and see if folks have any final questions, and Neal can try to address those.
What role does the customer's review play in your marketing strategy?
A big role, a very big role. And that has been another challenge, is to get initial reviews, because it's a human nature. Everybody reads reviews, but no one wants to give them. So initially, when I launched products, it's been a challenge to kind of get some reviews from people, because it's another thing on Amazon is if you see a product with 0 reviews or 1 review, it's kind of, you are not likely to buy it as convincingly. But for that, I provide like money back guarantee and all of that stuff. But essentially, reviews play a big part in the success. And in general, I used to think that reviews are manipulated or things like that. But in general, people are fair. I mean, some people are, really out of blue, but you will find one of those. But if you see 50, 100 reviews, and then you will see what people are writing, you get a very good idea of what the product is. And I sometimes read my own reviews of my own product, and I say, this is very fair, what people are writing. So reviews are a big part. Reviews are a big part. So initially, to get the initial review has always been a challenge. So I go to my friends, my family members, or say, hey, can you review this product and stuff like that. So that's been a challenge.
Got it. And can you incentivize your customers to write reviews? Is there a mechanism on Amazon to get people to, can you pay them to give you reviews?
We as sellers cannot pay them. Amazon pays them because they want to keep it more official. So Amazon will send them. So if I sign up for a service, with Amazon, then Amazon will pay the customers for first 5 reviews. So they will help you out with your first 5 reviews. They will pay the customers, and then you will get those 5 reviews. But if you want more reviews yourself, then you cannot incentivize. But if they are friends and family who want to help out, then you can let them know, and then they provide you the reviews.
Excellent. Other questions, Aurora?
Yes. I'm curious then what your guarantee is and what your exchange refund policy is and how that works financially with regards to shipping a product back, or if it's broken, or they just don't like it, or whatever.
It's the same as Amazon policy. Number one, Amazon is a very liberal return policy place. A customer says, I don't like the color of this product, they return it, Amazon will take it. And people generally are pretty decent. I mean, there are some people who are trying to take advantage of the system, but in general, people are fair. I mean, I would say there have been some cases where I didn't like that people return for no reason, but in general, my return rates are about 1 to 2%, which is not very high. And Amazon handles all the returns. Within first 30 days, it's the standard Amazon return policy, so they won't even ask us. And then if the customers call them, they will return it. But I personally sometimes write in my detail page saying, even within first 6 months, if you have a problem with my product, then contact me directly, because as a seller, I can also provide you refund. So if someone contacts me directly, because Amazon will not give them after 30 days, because that's when Amazon platform policy stops. But first, on a personal level, if someone writes to me, hey, I have this, and this has happened, hey, I have this problem with your product, can you handle it? And then, I provide them full refund.
So is that 30 days from the date that it's shipped to them or that they received it?
I think it's Amazon's standard policy. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's from after 30 day from the order. And they're pretty liberal about it. I don't think they enforce it very strictly. But let's say if it becomes 60 days, 90 days, then people can come, then sellers have their own policies where you can directly contact sellers and see if they can do something.
Shipping? Does the
I'm sorry?
customer ship it back?
The cost of shipping back? Amazon handles all that. It costs you money. I mean, every return costs you money, because a lot of times they don't pack it correctly, and then it just becomes a waste. So Amazon just sends it to me, and I have a pile of return product which are mostly usable. So I give it to friends and families, and I do my customer feedback workshops here in Cleveland, where I give that product as giveaways and get customer feedback. So I use it that way. But yeah, so Amazon handles it, but it's costly handling returns. So you have to incorporate that into your profitability.
Very cool. Thank you. Buffalo team, thoughts, questions?
We have 2 questions. So I have a question. He mentioned, you changing your price all the time. Is it because every time you log in, you have an item in your cart that you're waiting to purchase, and all of a sudden it'll go down like 5 cents, or maybe it'll go down $5, and then next thing you know, it'll go like a day later, it'll go back up and maybe even go higher. Is there a science behind that, or what's the reasoning?
I think your voice was breaking up a little bit, Tanya. Would you mind just getting in front of the microphone and saying that one more time, please? Sorry.
Repeat all that again.
Can you hear me now?
You're coming in choppy for some reason.
I think I understood her question. I want to save her the trouble of repeating that again. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, your question was, what is the science or art behind all the frequent pricing changes, right? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So it's all competition, and pricing is the easiest thing to change. And there is an art behind it. I don't know about the science, but it's called split. There's something called split testing, So let's say I want to, because the ultimate goal is to improve your profitability. So let's say if I sell 10 units of a product a day and I make $5 a unit and I do 50, so I make $50 a day from a product at $20 price, then I will increase it to 25. I'll start selling, let's say 5, but then I'm making 10 into 5, again 50. So I'm testing, at least that's what I do. And I know most of the people do it the same way. They don't do it that radically, like 20 to 25, but we just fine tune it a little bit up, a little bit down to see if it is affecting our volume, because you want to test the market, how much market is willing to pay for it. Because if they really need it, they will probably pay higher. And if there is a good competition for it, and then there are other alternatives available, then if you increase the price, it'll totally stop selling. So it's called testing the market with different price levels. And it's very easy to do. You change a price in 15 minutes, it gets updated, and then you monitor it for a few days and see how your sales are doing. And then without any other significant change, whether your profitability has increased or decreased, and then you kind of settle down on a price. It also depends on your competition. I hope this answers your question.
Yes, it does. And
Yeah. I have a question about fulfillment. That seems very pricey for Amazon to fulfill the product, to be responsible for fulfillment. I think you had said $12. It was one of your products. If it was on one of your large products, it was $12. A smaller product was $2.50, I think. I was just thinking about the local communities doing fulfillment. Wouldn't that bring jobs to the area? But would it be feasible?
No, I mean, there is no restriction. Yeah, absolutely right. There is no restriction on doing it with Amazon. People are doing it by themselves too. A lot of people do it by themselves. And if you find that the $12 one was an extreme example I wanted to give you. Most of my products are in the range of $4 to $6. For a general size product, you will get like $4 to $6 of fulfillment. Many people, based on the data that I have seen, and it's about the business, but I totally understand that sometimes the cost of doing business, if you already have a warehouse or space, and then you have a post office nearby, it may be much cheaper for you. You may be more profitable shipping it by yourself. So that is a decision that people have to take based on their situation. The disadvantage of that model is that you will be spending a lot of time managing that fulfillment, because I've heard from people, because I'm connected with the community of sellers. I've heard from people like they're totally drained out, after shipping 20, 25 orders. And if you're trying to make it a real big business, scaling is very important, where you don't care whether it's 10 orders or 25 orders or 100 orders. You're just focusing on marketing, getting the best products out there, and getting the best appropriate, most fitting customers in front of those products. So that's a decision that people have to take individually based on their situation.
Okay, let's wrap it up with that. I know we're 5 minutes over. Thank you, everyone. Neal, thank you so much. This was tremendously insightful. Aurora, Buffalo teams, thank you for participating. Hopefully you found the information helpful. Kim, as I'm looking at you, I think we need to get this video recording in front of our students. I think it's such an incredible opportunity for our young folks to see the opportunities that, a lot of times our young folks are leaving the community not realizing they can start their own business. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be, to Neal's point, you can start in some small manageable space. I just don't think a lot of our young people understand what these opportunities look like in the brave new world. So with that, please do take a moment to give us your feedback. It really helps us to refine our programming. And once again, Neal, thank you for your time. Thank you, chamber leaders, Shannon and Tanya, for organizing and all the lunch sponsorships. And we'll see you again in 1 month. Take care, guys.
Thank you.